The great thing about the Blackmagic app is that it turns your iPhone into a cinema camera. But with that also comes some of the learning curve of a cinema camera, which can feel a little intimidating at first. This video is designed to demystify these settings to help you get started. Just before we begin, keep in mind these aren't intended to be hard and fast rules. Take these more as guidelines, with the goal of getting that iPhone out of your pocket and into your hands shooting with confidence. Okay, let's get started. Now that you've imported Phantom LUTs, it's time to start shooting. In Record, choose either H.265 or ProRes codecs, whichever your preference. Then double check you're shooting in Apolog 1 or Apolog 2 if your iPhone supports it. Now on the main screen, let's start with lens. Your iPhone has a few to choose from, and selecting your lens really depends on your scene. We've found that we tend to use the main lens for the bulk of our shooting, but it's really a case of personal preference. Feel free to see what works best for you. Next is frames per second, or FPS. In plain English, this is just how many images your camera captures per second. Choosing your frame rate will differ depending on your region, so here's a handy guide. For those of you who live in the US or Canada, you should select 24 FPS, while those in the UK, EU or Australia should stick with 25. For slow-mo, use either 48 FPS for the US and Canada, or 50 FPS for the UK, EU and Australia. Why the difference? This is just to ensure that the cycle rate of the lights in your region don't clash with your FPS choice, as this may cause flickering in your footage. Next is shutter. If achieving cinematic motion blur is your goal, in the menu, select Shutter Angle and set it to 180 degrees. If you're finding your image looks too bright, then you may need to use an ND filter. NDs help because they darken your image without affecting motion blur. In short, they're kinda like sunglasses for your camera. If cinematic motion blur isn't as big a priority for you, which is often the case for many of our users filming content for social media or for personal use, for example, then shutter speed can actually be a useful tool to help you control exposure. To adjust your exposure in this way, select shutter speed in the menu. Dial it higher to lower exposure, or dial it lower to increase exposure. Your goal is to find the sweet spot where your subject's skin tones look the most natural to your eye. Now you'll see ISO. This essentially controls how sensitive your camera is to light. Our general recommendation is to keep the ISO value below 400 where possible, and in certain circumstances, like low light for example, you may find yourself wanting to go higher, but just keep in mind that this will introduce noise or grain to the image. Next is white balance. This setting orients how your camera sees white and aligns all other colors around it. In order to have natural colors, an accurate white balance is crucial. We like to use 5500K for daylight exteriors, 5000K for daylight interiors, and 4300K for nighttime exteriors and interiors. And lastly, there's tint. In a nutshell, negative values make your footage more green, while positive values make your footage more magenta. We recommend simply starting at 0 and adjusting to taste. For more in-depth material on these and other topics, you can always refer to the included README that comes with your LUTs. And if you found this helpful, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching.